Hello YouTubers, it's Saturday evening, August 2nd, 2014. Well, I shouldn't say I normally don't. I actually have never made a video in the evening. I always make them in the afternoon, and part of that is I have a lot of windows and I have good lighting. And at night, I did turn on a few lights here to lighten it up some, but it's pretty dark. But this video is going to be a little dark, so I thought that would be apropos. First of all, I'd like to preface with a couple things. My last video, I made a huge error, and this is what you get when you're not like the Bereans and look things up for yourself. For some reason, I had heard that the inauguration was in 2018 instead of 2017. That was a huge mistake of 12 months, so let me apologize for that. I'm not someone who's just going to erase the video, act like it didn't happen. As Johnny says at Tribulation Now, I'll eat my gummy bears, or my gummy crow, as this turns out to be. The little humble pie, and hopefully you won't give me the cold shoulder. So I'm making this tonight because time is of the essence. A lot of this is going to be concerning my last video, some of the things that are in it, starting with the 9th of Av, which is August 4th, coming up here real quick. Now, it's going to start at 7:33 p.m. Jerusalem time. That's on Monday. So if I'm in the Central Time Zone in America, Chicago, that would be 11:33 a.m. A unique thing about the Israelis is the day starts at sunset. Then sometime during that next hour, it actually goes from sunset to nighttime. And there's a moment there, a few minutes, where just before it becomes night, they call that the twinkling of an eye. So that's pretty interesting. I was listening to the Johnny Kleck show last night, and they were talking about this particular subject, and it's ironic that Obama's birthday is also the 9th of Av. And of course, if it's not his real birth certificate, which so many people doesn't say, why did they pick this day? And why did they pick the time he was born, which was 7:24 p.m. Honolulu time? You know, if he was born any earlier, it wouldn't have been on the 9th of Av. So 9th of Av, what's so special about that day? Well, it's a day of destruction, typically for the Jewish people. And it goes all the way back to when Moses sent the 12 spies into the Promised Land, and 10 of them came back with a bad report. This upset the Almighty extremely, so bad that he had them wander in the desert for 40 years, and only Jacob and Caleb got to enter the Promised Land, or anybody under the age of 20. And every year on the 9th of Av, instead of sleeping cozily in their tents, they would have to go out of the camp, dig a grave, and sleep in that grave. And the next morning they wake up and 15,000 would be dead. And this happened every year for 40 years until all 600,000 had passed away. Now that last year, of course, they woke up the next morning and nobody was dead, and they thought that they had miscounted. So they continued night after night after night for 6 days until the Sabbath. And when the Sabbath came, they realized they hadn't made a mistake. This is what we now call Tu B'Av, the 15th of Av. And that actually typically has been a very large wedding day, because the 3 weeks between the 17th of Tammuz and the 9th of Av are so dark, because even though the temples were destroyed on the 9th of Av, the walls were usually breached, or the onslaught started 3 weeks earlier on the 17th of Tammuz. Just like the whole list of stuff on the 9th of Av, World War I, the Spanish Inquisition in 1492, when the Jews were kicked out of England in 1094, when World War II, the Poland ghetto was burned, the Gaza War of '06. I mean, all the things that started on the 9th of Av. There's a list of things that started on the 17th of Tammuz, and a lot of them were connected. For instance, the Babylonians breached the walls on the 17th of Tammuz, but the temple wasn't actually destroyed until the 9th of Av. So, 9th of Av this year, has anyone noticed the horrible war that has already taken place in Israel? And it's over this 3-week period, called the Dire Straits, is what they've actually named it. Now, for the last 2 weeks, every time I notice a number, it's the number 216. And anybody who read the Left Behind series knows that 216 is just as common for 666 as 18 is. The difference, 18 is 6 plus 6 plus 6, when 216 is 6 times 6 times 6. So, I was getting a little shook up. I was like, Lord, 216, why? Everybody else is seeing the number 777. And of course, there's 3 weeks during this Dire Straits, which are 777, and of course the list goes on about the sevens, from the Malaysian Boeing 777s to, it's just uncanny how many there are. And I heard the Lord speak to me and said, peace, this is just a sign for you. And I guess the reason I'm seeing the 216 is because I'm one of those people that doesn't get all caught up about, if I go into a grocery store and it comes up to $6.66, I don't have to buy a pack of gum to change it. To me, it came up 666. That's just the number it happened to be at that time. Now, I'd be a little concerned if it came up every single time I went to the grocery store. And if I had a phone number issued to me and it ended in 666, I'd probably have that changed. But sporadically here and there, it doesn't really bother me. But the 216 started bothering me. It seemed like every time I opened up my email, I had 216 emails, and I would take 30 or 40 of them out of there. Next day I'd open it up and it would be right at 216 again. And you have to understand, I get probably 50 or 60 a day. But for me to happen to open up my email every day these last couple of weeks and it be at 216 was a little more than a coincidence. And a lot of others, looking at the clock, digital clocks, that kind of stuff, I've just been seeing 216 everywhere. So that's telling me August 4th is the 216th day of the year, by the way. Let me not forget to throw that in here. And I believe the Lord's saying something this year is going to take place. Now, what is it? Is it the rapture? I don't know. I don't set dates. I know that we're not appointed to wrath, but World War I, there was a day that started World War I, and it happened in Sarajevo. It was one bullet. It was one of the political leaders was killed that day, and that started World War I. Were tanks all over the planet fighting that day? No. Over the next year, countries started attacking different countries. A year later, they were in a full-fledged war. But it can be tracked back to that one day, and I believe it was November 11th. So I believe that whatever happens, there's going to be an event that happens this Monday, and that could kick off World War III. It could kick off the Ezekiel 38-39, the Psalms 83 war. Who knows? We're living in a time where so much could be fulfilled so quickly that take your pick, folks. But I am saying, watch. We're commanded to watch and to be ready, because before the missiles hit, the rapture will happen, folks. That's a gimme. We all know the Lord's not going to allow His bride to be beat up before He takes her to heaven. So, 9th of Av is real serious. So, it's really a quick video. I just wanted to get it out there because we're just a couple days away. And if nothing happens, well, I'll eat my gummy bears. I'll eat my gummy crows, and hopefully you won't give me the cold shoulder. So God bless you. Be prepared, and as long as we have electricity and internet, I'll try to let you know what I'm thinking. God bless.